It seems to be all anybody's talking about anymore, depending on whether it's that disgusting slaughter of a person on a bus or on a train system in Charlotte, or if it's the D.C. crime problem that has now been quelled because of Donald Trump's move. People are talking about safety and security and crime. I want to talk to a representative from the great state of Arizona, Eli Crane. Eli, good to see you again. How you doing? It's been a while.
I'm doing good, Joe. Thanks for having me on.
District 2 Republican, great state of Arizona. We appreciate you doing what you do for the country. Let's talk about crime. Let's talk about D.C. specifically, because D.C. was out of control. You had ATV gangs that were running the streets. We had people like Mark Wayne Mullen, who would drive his Jeep with his door off so he can get out quickly and defend himself against somebody trying to carjack him. We had the guy who calls himself Big Balls, got maimed on the side of the road, beaten up mercilessly. And now there's nothing going on in Washington, D.C. We've done the study, Eli. It works. So can we keep that guard there? Can we keep the federalization of police in D.C.? Do you guys in Congress have to say yes? Can the president extend it? What happens now?
Yeah, so we got a bunch of bills that we're going to be voting on this week as far as D.C. crime, but it's crazy, Joe. I'm telling you, man. I've deployed overseas 5 times, 3 times to war zones, and I can tell you, oftentimes I felt safer rolling around, Fallujah, Iraq, than I do here in D.C. I live here about 3 weeks out of the month. I was in Israel about 2 years ago. I felt safer in Israel during a war than I do often in D.C. It's completely out of control. And you listen to these Democrats scream as if Trump and the administration are waging war on their cities. But the fact of the matter is, he's the only one, trying to protect the citizens. The Democrats under the last administration let, 10 to 15 million illegal aliens into this country. They have these prosecutors that just let people walk without any repercussions or accountability whatsoever. And you're seeing the ramifications when Trump brings in, the law enforcement with a heavy hand and the National Guard. I think crime's down like 60% here in Washington, D.C., and it's unbelievable.
Yeah. And I don't think there's been a murder for 2 weeks unless it was one overnight or something, but I haven't heard about one. What jumps out at me is what you said, Democrat cities. And I don't understand. Democrat or Republican, you don't want people to die. Democrat or Republican, you don't want people to get carjacked. So is this a service of incompetency at the mayor's office? Incompetent judges letting people back on the streets? Like in Charlotte, this guy was 14 times with a mugshot, and he was a convicted felon. He was on parole at one point, violated parole. He's just out riding a bus looking to kill somebody. Why are we here? They can't want more crime, can they?
Well, it's tough to say, Joe. I think that, most of your viewers would probably agree. It's probably a combination of incompetence and pure evil. When you see what happened with that, that young woman who got off the shift at the pizza place, I think it was up in North Carolina, got on the bus, and that young man behind her who was convicted of multiple crimes, who had repeatedly been let out of jail, just for no reason, takes out his knife and stabs her in the neck. It's just, to me, that's just plain evil, and then when you look at these policies, not only the sanctuary city policies, but even how they have these, they elect these prosecutors, that let people walk, and they're soft on crime. It's just a matter of time before their city turns into a third world hellhole, where their citizens don't feel safe anymore. And that's why I said, thank God for President Trump. Joe, the American people want strong leaders that don't, and politicians that don't just talk a tough game, but when they actually get into a seat of authority, they actually are willing to execute on it.
Right.
And, thank God that he's there, and thank God that he's a man that doesn't just talk, but, he executes.
It is Representative Eli Crane, District 2 Republican, great state of Arizona. Irina Zarutska was her name. And to your point earlier, she came here to get away from war in Ukraine. She's somebody who came here legally, was working a job, as you said, had her little pizza hat and pizza shirt on. And because she's sitting there, and because he could, this guy opens the knife, stands up, stabs her 3 times, fatally, leaves with her blood dripping from the knife, takes his shirt off, gets off the rail or the bus, whatever it was. So this is completely premeditated. It's not like he just accidentally killed somebody. This guy did it, and there's one piece of video, I don't know if you've seen this, but where it's picked up where he says, I got that white girl. Now, I'm wondering why somebody would be willing, who's sitting on a bench in a courtroom, because this judge let him out, and why she thinks this was somehow better for society for him to be out. And again, does it go back to incompetence? But what you said is true. She might have been safer in Kiev.
She probably was, Joe. And here's the thing. Think about this, too. It wasn't more than a couple years ago that a guy named Daniel Penny, who was a former Marine, actually chose to do something about some psychopathic animal on a train who wanted to harm people, just like this guy. And he actually put this guy in a headlock, unfortunately, or a chokehold. Unfortunately, this individual ended up passing away. But what happened to Daniel Penny? He got prosecuted in one of these Democrat-run hellholes. And that's what they've become. And it's sad because many of them are great cities. They've got a bunch of great people in them, but they're run by complete morons. And, so it's like we've got to do something about it. And again, thankfully, we've got the commander in chief that we do who's finally saying enough's enough. I'm going to do everything that I can to protect the American citizens, whether they voted for me or not. And, and the proof is in the pudding. I mean, you can walk around D.C. right now feeling, and I see National Guardsmen all over the place. I've never felt more safe in this city. And Joe, I'm a Navy SEAL, man. I've been to several war zones, and this place is out of control. So is Chicago. So is New York. So are several of these other Democrat-run cities.